happens here?
It is chaos and carnage on the Hawaii Dog.
This is fantastic sailing.
Team New Zealand are in a magnificent position. What a thriller it has been.
Close to it here, still a little early. Okay now.
That's the voice of Brad Butterworth coming off Alinghi. It is 12 knots from 84 degrees. The course is set for 080.
Wind direction, come to the right of it, there is a 96 sitting here on the bottom.
That's as close as you want to get.
5-minute gun round the end.
Closer than that.
Start line with reverted light.
It is Alinghi coming in from the starboard end. Oracle coming in from
slow mode, but I'd like to turn off the brakes, okay? More left than ever, reaching.
Yeah, I think we just wait till we come up. He's coming up. He's
Yacht and Schumann aboard Alinghi saying more left than ever. Here comes the dial up, first into his Oracle, rings pulling out of the headsail. Oracle to the left, Alinghi to the right.
a little quicker.
We are starboard. We are smaller. You're right on me, you're right on me. The other way.
He's going to be able to get out of it soon, Russell.
Peter stopped a little quicker than Alinghi did. And that's going to put Alinghi in a little bit of a tough spot right here, but that'll be okay. They'll get going forward.
He's main.
Oracle's going to bail out, go around the back. Very similar to yesterday. By the time Alinghi gets moving, though, they'll be in a fairly strong position.
That's good there.
Although it is an escape for Oracle.
Main there, please. Okay, go main again. Go main. All you want to give me.
Go main, all you want to give me. That's Peter Holmberg, standing over for an Oracle out to the right. Alinghi out to the left.
That means he's got steerage again, so he's able to go for some more horsepower. The mainsail will make the boat spin into the wind if you trim it in too quickly when you're trying to accelerate.
Good there in the main.
40 to burn for both.
Same time for
Three.
starting out of
Stand
Stand by the jibe.
Stand by to jibe from Peter Holmberg on Oracle.
That's 7 piece.
Even speed here.
It is Oracle on the lead. Coming up on the start.
Here we go, jibing now.
What are the times up wind fresh?
This is the first time we're seeing the line be square for this entry. And the first half of the starting time we've been looking at here. It's been a bit favored to the starboard end, the right hand end of the committee boat. And we're just now seeing the wind shift back, so it makes it about equal. I would still expect to see the starboard advantage be important for these teams. As opposed to the pin or the left-hand side like we saw yesterday.
Thank you.
So it's
Nice.
Alinghi running deep now. They're way outside to the right. They are 100 metres to leeward of a race committee.
That's going to be Alinghi's last circle. See how they're staying low. They're aiming deep. They're not going to turn up. They're going to guarantee that this is their last circle in. They're going to lead back to the line. Oracle sees that they're not going to get the lead back. They're going to push a little farther away.
He's tagging up there. 135.
Big separation between the teams here.
90 seconds to the start. So it's Alinghi deep in the box by 130 metres.
It's going to be real slow by the time he gets to us here.
well down by sailing very deep.
Now, time to kill,
Looks to me
always.
like Oracle's trying for the right and Lingy's trying for the left.
Full
A little bit
speed, do
different
it if you can.
philosophy on each boat.
More speed. Let's go, full trim, big trim, big trim.
Oracle on the hip. 90, trying to kill time. They have to kill a little.
You got the right, no problem.
Big 37, 36. Oracle in the windward position. He's 30 meters back from the line. 30 seconds. They've got to kill a huge amount of time.
But Oracle wants that space between the boats, so they're going to hang up there until Lingy pulls the trigger and starts going.
20 seconds. So they're directly down from race control. Coots brings the back down on the now, winding up to head towards the pin. It's a slingshot start for a minute.
Hold there, hold there.
Mayonnaise. It's good.
He's going down as well.
All clear.
Final. It is a lead down to Lewis. And ahead. Oracle in the lead position.
That's okay, you're listening.
Oracle will have the
Yeah, a little build would help. No, we're on the same speed as him now.
By the way, saying that we're on the same speed as him, meaning Oracle now.
A little quicker than him now. He just hit a couple away.
A little couple of him hit a couple of
Average
ways.
shift here. He's out of there.
Earlier, Peter, these swells that you're sailing into are going to make it hard for the boats to keep moving. Oracle attacking.
So they tack off onto port. But this is the fascinating point. Because Ed feels, looking up the course, the right may be favoured. But initially, left could have paid off. Here's Chris Dixon taking over the helm.
We have had just a little bit of a right-hand shift, but I'm not sure that there's much in it after the start. The wind has been very steady for the last 20 minutes.
Here comes Alinghi coming back now. Both boats are on port. Both boats breaking right.
Shift back a bit.
They will have to start an hand advantage.
And this is just Alinghi trying to keep it close. They realize that the risk is if they split with Oracle. They want to push it and find out again if they feel that they're faster in a straight line than Oracle is. And I know that Alinghi believes they can
Yeah, we're a
turn
little
the
bit up
boat
off him at the
easier.
moment here.
They can turn the boat and tack it easier with less loss of speed than Oracle does.
We're still up and off him, Russell, if we want to go forward here.
So this is a direct race up to the
I
right.
like this mode. This mode's good.
Butterworth on Alinghi likes this mode.
That's nice. We're even higher than he is. With a fast mode.
Still just slightly higher than him, slightly faster at the moment. It's just we seem to have more breeze than him, Cap. We seem to have a little bit more breeze than him.
Tell Bob we're trying to go a little quicker here.
So Alinghi reckon they're higher.
Somebody relay that to Bob. A little quicker here, Bob.
The virtual spectator reinforces the ascent coming off Alinghi. They are higher and faster. We can see that higher means where their bow is going closer to the objective of the top mark.
Peter, this is very impressive to see this so far in the race because since they started, they've had about a 5 or 6 degree right-hand wind shift, which should favor Oracle. So at the moment, it looks like Alinghi in a little better pressure and really putting the hammer down.
Here we go.
Big weights here, Nate. That's 40 seconds till you'll see him, Chris. So you got time to build.
He's 2 lengths clear.
No, he'll be 1 length clear. You're pretty wide. You're pretty wide. Surf him, you'll be close. You'll be within a length of him.
Yeah, it's only a couple of boat lengths, Russell.
Still wide.
Easy out on the back of the wave.
20
more
seconds
boat
till
length.
him, Chris. You're only a quarter length behind.
Turn on the
Yes,
wave.
this is good.
His stern. He's tacking now. He's half a length to leeward. No worries right now. You can hold.
We're on our little travel out.
Sail normal and just not lose, all right? You can take a bite if you need to. Careful not to overcook your tab.
If we take a look at a few moments ago, the first cross coming up here, Alinghi on port tack, the giveaway yacht, Oracle on starboard has the right of way. It's clear here that Alinghi is not going to be able to cross directly across the bow of Oracle. They tack to leeward. Oracle just takes a little bit of a bite to windward, comes up just a little bit closer into the wind to try and open the separation or the gauge between the two yachts. We can see there it's close enough to bout about.
We're in good pressure here.
Clear voice there of Brad Butterworth. Alinghi, also we hear the voices of Murray Jones and
Coming on up from inside of Bob. Just keep it tight, eh, Tommy?
Peter Van Nieuwhuizen,
we don't win the first leg here,
grinders on board Alinghi.
Let's attack in that run, huh?
Here on Oracle, Chris Dixon, the man at the wheel now after the start. Peter Holmberg, who was at the helm during the start. So we're hearing from Eric Doyle, who has a fair bit to say on board USA 76 and Cameron Gunn. See him scampering up the mast, looking for wind. First leg.
Simultaneous tacks, both boats tacking, coming back together at exactly the same time. And as they get out to this ley line, these crosses become all the more
I
critical.
don't want to cross sides with them. No, one more boat length.
He's half a length clear.
Slow squeeze here we go. Tacking.
Further gain to Alinghi. Butterworth not wanting to cross, just wanting to push the action further to the right-hand side, further to the starboard ley line. And once Alinghi have Oracle on the starboard ley line,
Squeeze it around. He's just
it'll turn into a little bit of a soldier's course to the top mark. So Butterworth manipulating the tactics to shut down the options for Oracle.
Tacking here.
Tacking, guys.
We hear Schumann and Butterworth conferring. They want to drive the action out to the right. We can see just how close to that right ley line they are now. Certainly, Alinghi, this is just textbook match racing. When you've got a strength, when you take a game, drive your competitor out to the position where the game
15
slows down.
seconds till you see him.
That's Larry Allison, head of Oracle, financial backer, the patron, if you like.
We might have gone through some weed there, eh?
To the left, Oracle to the right.
Peter, you see that Alinghi was able to push Oracle right out to the corner of the racetrack here and take away the options. So Oracle probably wisely chose at that edge of the course to not tack that one last time and go beyond ley line, but rather to go to head to the middle of the course. They took an initial loss to do it, but even after that, you saw that Alinghi was just slowly outpointing Oracle all the time. You see that track just slightly widening all the time, and Oracle just struggling to have the same amount of effect up the breeze. But the good news for Oracle is that there is any wind shift either direction, they're going to at least make a little bit of a gain by being positioned here rather than off the edge of the course. Critical time right here, Peter, because they've got to make a choice on which jibe they want to defend downwind. That's where you hear those wind calls saying there's better breeze to the right. That means they'll likely set and hold on the port jibe to stay
What's
in
the
that
opposite
breeze.
tack here, Ernesto?
Almost to the ley line.
What's the opposite
tack
tack,
and go
Ernesto,
around
do you
this
think?
weather mark.
124.
So Alinghi's going to round only about 4 or 5 boat lengths ahead of Oracle this
Only
time.
got 2 boat lengths to
Yesterday,
go.
Oracle gained that 4 boat lengths very quickly down the run. We'll see if they can make an impression today.
Jeff, keep the chute on the boat.
We got 1 boat length to go.
Very close. One leg for attack. Make it a good one.
We're there. We're there.
Yeah, here comes the tap from Oracle first. And now Alinghi, they're out onto the fourth ley line. Final runway to the first windward or Mark 1 in race 2.
Come through ley line.
Okay.
Race 2, Louis Vuitton Cup final. Mark 1. Alinghi pick up where they left off yesterday and leap round the first mark of the second race. As Josh Belsky lays into his crew again. Boy, he really controls it from the pit. Now here comes Oracle around the Mark 1. And they click off at 26 seconds astern. Now, this is going to be fascinating. Can Oracle make a gain on this first off-wind leg or downhill slide? We saw it yesterday.
Big following swell.
4 degrees favored. You like it, right?
Change the course now. It's 85 is the
2 degrees.
Peter, right away, I'm seeing Oracle diving lower with a little bit speed, or maybe just the same speed, but certainly diving lower. And they're getting themselves already into a position where they're going to be able to attack on the next jibe.
Down below on board Alinghi in the SUI. Those are the new SUI cams that we have down there, just showing you what happens out of sight. Hard physical work involved.
Brad Butterworth, Murray Jones setting up for a jibe, but it appears as though on the downwind leg, Oracle may well be making inroads into the lead. 26 seconds at Mark 1. Are down on the leeward position there, Oracle. And Alinghi feel a little bit uncomfortable with them being in that position.
He's going with us.
Simultaneous jibes. This should place Oracle in a great position, aligning themselves with an appearance of wind. They'll be hoping down onto Alinghi. Nice job on Oracle. They started the jibe manoeuvre a little bit later than Alinghi, but came out pretty clean. So now we can see the tracking lines there that Alinghi in the leeward position will be very conscious of Oracle in the windward position and the wind shadowing effect.
And Alinghi there, jibing simultaneously with Oracle, and that's the wind shadow Pete Lester was talking about a moment ago. And just watching this, we can see, look at the yellow trail of Alinghi. They're sailing closer to the wind, so they're sailing a higher, hotter angle to keep their air clear in front of the disturbed air coming off Oracle to windward. And looking at that, that's a definite gain to Oracle there. It's down to 95 metres. And looking at that now, that really is a big course change that we're starting to see from Alinghi, curving up that way to make sure they keep their air clear in front of Oracle to windward. Looks like they've been able to achieve that.
You don't want to come in and do it Mexican and then try to bleed them right.
A lot of discussion taking place on board Oracle now. These crews are always thinking about, it's a bit like a game of chess. It's thinking about 2-3 moves ahead.
You'll have to pick a bad one.
And ready? Transfer.
Here they go, Oracle going into a jibe, trying to mix it up. Dixon turning the boat through the jibe, the Jenica being whipped around, setting. Through comes the mainsail. Alinghi deciding what they're going to do to cover here.
Well, what was interesting there, Don, is, you know, you make a tactical decision to stay in phase with the opposition. With Oracle jibing, Alinghi had to make a decision. Do we keep going, or do we stay in phase and jibe? They've elected to carry on. They will now set themselves up with the wind coming from behind the Jenica of Oracle to give themselves clean air going in towards the bottom mark.
We're laying with that wind direction.
Okay, let's go.
We get lifted here. Go now.
Yacht and Schumann, according to Russell Coops, to go now. So now Alinghi comes back. We're going through the jibe, on the starboard jibe.
Now just very technically here, probably a smart move here by Alinghi. When Oracle jibed away back there, both boats were very headed, and downwind you want to sail on the headed jibe. That's your best way to get downwind faster. Oracle jibed away onto the maximum shift on the wrong jibe, basically, if you will, the lifted jibe, the largest shift of the leg. And since then, Alinghi has experienced a shift back their way. I would expect when the boats come together, Alinghi will have gained a little bit here Plus, Alinghi has only jived once, and Oracle has already jived twice and still has one more to go.
Alinghi to the right, Oracle to the left.
No, I think we'll cross them here easy.
Brad Butterworth reassuring whoever needs to be reassured on Alinghi of the assessment that Ed Beard's already made that Alinghi will cross.
Simmer it down, I think, Jake, if you
You
can.
see Alinghi now reaching up a little bit towards the mark, getting more speed, and that's gaining them on a BMG or velocity made good angle. They're gaining a boat length already since the jive. You see the converging angles of the two courses at this leeward mark, but Alinghi will certainly be clear ahead when they get into that 3 boat length zone at the mark. And they'll round in front, although it's a little bit closer than I was really expecting it to be. We're now seeing the back left-hand shift of the day. 76 degrees on our wind direction. We've seen it as far to the right as about 98, 99. So since it's in the left and it is shifting back and forth, you might see these boats tacking off to the right pretty soon at the bottom end of this next beat.
This has been a game to Oracle. Alinghi led by 26 seconds
Okay, thanks, Chris.
at Mark 1. This is Mark 2.
He's trawled it. He's trawled it.
He's trawled it.
Sail our boat,
meaning
guys.
Oracle have
Sail our
trawled it.
boat.
Sail our boat, Brad Butterworth says, and Oracle have gone trawling. They've cut it, goodness gracious. Oracle are trawling their Jenica and their pole. Their pole is over the side. They've broken their spinnaker pole. Disaster for Oracle. And Mark number 2 with that close right down. They've got to get that pole. We know we can fix about them. More of that later. But they round off at 19 seconds. They would have been 10 if they hadn't had that calamity at the bottom line.
Hold the line. You can't get here still.
Jordy Shaver trying to spike the shackle open.
That's all it
Get
is.
the
This
sail
red one
away.
here, and you'll be good.
That is dragging and costing them
Watch it,
time.
Tommy. We cut it.
Massive, Peter.
That is huge. During that whole business, here was Oracle, 2
Yeah,
boat
spike
lengths
it.
behind.
Spike it, spike
When
it.
this is all totaled up, I can
Take
see
this
8,
forward,
maybe
Jordan.
10 boat
Yeah, you
lengths.
still got stuff in your keel.
Jordan, the
Yeah, it's
pole,
wrapped
take
around
the
the
pole.
keel now. This is just a real disaster for these guys.
How about the
I hate
beaver?
to see this.
Wax beaver, that can cut it. There it goes.
pole
Beaver
forward,
turn
Jordan.
off.
Are we clear to turn?
So now pulling out the Jenica, the wind trawling, or shrimping as the Americans call it. And what must Larry Ellison be thinking? That was an unforced error. They were just so wound up. They'd done such a jolly good job on the first off-wind leg. They closed the game up to 2 boat lengths.
Good pressure above us here.
And they just got so electric and fired up, bang. And to have a mistake like that, that's fundamental by a crew of this standard. Let's see how it all happened.
Well, Peter, the concept here is do the simple things well. Look how far aft the pole is when the spinnaker halyard gets dropped on Oracle. Chris Dixon tries to turn the boat to make the sail fall down on the left-hand side, but the pole instantly breaks in half as the sail goes over the bow, and the boat's power and momentum just rips the sail to shreds. Really difficult maneuver, not what they practice at all, certainly not what they expected.
Well, twice already in this Louis Vuitton Cup Challenger Series, we've seen Oracle break their spinnaker pole in certainly different circumstances, and we know they have a sleeve aboard, but they have conceded at least 10 boat lengths.
Well, Peter, you got to play to your strengths, and one of the strengths that Oracle seems to have, especially in this wind speed, is downwind speed against Alinghi. So they need to push in there and get close downwind, but not risk so much at the mark rounding as they just did, where they might have a problem and lose a little distance again upwind, because certainly you give Alinghi a couple of lengths upwind, and Oracle's going to struggle to hang on. Now they're well behind on Oracle, and Alinghi is going to be very comfortable up this beat and downwind, too far ahead for Oracle to catch.
Into lead number 3, Alinghi with the advantage of 19 seconds at Mark 2. And just as Oracle had got back into the boat race, within 2 boat lengths, their world fell apart. And now they have given a huge advantage to Alinghi going into the second.
And we'll just have a look now through virtual spectator into Glenn Sowry, exactly what effect that had on Oracle's performance.
Approaching mark number 2, Oracle closed the game right up, 2 boat lengths behind. Alinghi does a smooth drop, but here we see it was right about here that Oracle dropped their spinnaker into the water, the boom dragged, and just watch here the relative boat speeds of the 2 boats. Alinghi comes around the mark, immediately is up to close to target boat speed, just about 9.5 knots upwind. They're going almost double the speed of Oracle, who are dragging their gennaker in the water. They've got their spinnaker pole underneath, and the boat is just not accelerating away upwind. It's going literally half the speed. Alinghi is just all over the top of them. And about now we have the spinnaker underneath the boat, all trawled around all over the place. And if we come in and have a look at the keel, effectively what we had was the spinnaker was just wrapped all around the keel here. There was ropes trailing out the back around the rudder. It was just a horror show for them. They had to eventually cut it free. And then meanwhile, of course, they were just falling back further and further the whole time. Alinghi there just stretching out. Oracle trying to get the boat up to speed. What was a 50-metre advantage at the mark was rapidly growing out to close to 8 lengths. Oracle forced to tack away to try and clear their air. And since then, of course, they've just been continuing away on port tack. It looks like Oracle may have actually just closed up a wee bit to bring it back up to real time. But really, the damage has been done down at that bottom mark. What would have been a very, very close race and fascinating battle up this leg has turned into a bit of a steep hill to climb for Oracle now. And there's the splint on the pole. And certainly Pete Lester, the Oracle crew, have become very experienced at fixing that rope and spinnaker pole.
Third time that we've seen Oracle and the forward end of the boat having to put that splint device on the broken spinnaker pole. The poles are very, very light, made out of carbon fibre, but they are certainly not designed for dragging through the water.
Probably the first person to spot all that was happening was a man standing there behind Russell Coutson pointing away. Brad Butterworth, we heard him say they're trawling, sail our own boat.
We're getting right over this side, actually, very
There's
close.
still an orange one, huh?
No, it is orange. It haven't changed this yet.
Exactly. That's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, up to go trying to identify the top mark they're heading towards. But going back to that comment
It's not too far from the ley line, huh?
that you made a moment ago, John, one of the things that's just so impressive about the
We have
Alinghi
to mention
team
with
is
the tacked up ley.
the way Brad in particular in the back of the boat just marshals the troops to focus on what's important, and the discipline of that team to literally do what Brad said, concentrate on their own boat and let the others deal with the drama happening behind them.
We'll get
more load with an AC on this thing than that.
Can we be a little slow, my dear?
What's your crossover? Usually 14, 15, yeah?
Close up to Alinghi's mainsail there, pulling back. That's the distance back to Oracle now. Both boats overlaid, approaching mark number 3. While it says 155 metres crosswind, in fact, the lead is considerably more than that when we look at the distance towards the mark. But looking there, both boats out on that ley line, and really it was a drag race on port tack the whole way out to that side. Oracle, after that disaster at the bottom mark with their gennaker, didn't really have a great deal of option other than to try and get the boat under control while they got the spinnaker pole repaired. But looking at that, that's more like the lead that Alinghi has, 300 metres. That's 12 lengths ahead of Oracle heading towards mark number 3.
You know, Oracle are back a bit here. What are their downwind options? They look to be quite fast on the downwind legs.
Peter, I think they are pretty quick downwind, but as you probably noticed up this beat, they really haven't been in the game since they rounded the mark. And part of the reason is they've spent the whole time repairing the spinnaker pole. Now, once they go downwind, if they have enough wind for a spinnaker, an S sail, which it looks like they may just have. Right now, we've got 16 knots on the race course. Then they'll be okay with that pole, repaired like it is. But if they have to go with an A sail and a Jenniker, like they had up on the last run, with the pole forward, that splint is probably not going to be the strongest thing, to use, and it's going to be a little risky, I think, that the pole may just break again with the pressure that gets put on these sails in the downwind legs. So they may find on Oracle that they don't have the legs that they experienced earlier in the race here.
Look how windy down there, because this is going down.
That's a good point you make here. We've now got 16.3 from 83 degrees, so we're plus 16 knots. And
average wind speed was 14. Average direction was what?
83. Just getting ahead of now.
so Brad Butterworth agrees with us. We say 84 here on North Star without very sophisticated wind.
Well, they're clearly overlaid. They're reaching off now, easing the sails out a bit, so they'll be going over their normal speeds, but not as efficiently into the wind because they're beyond the edge of the course. No options at the moment for Oracle other than to go in a straight line as fast as they can. And Alinghi will round this mark. They'll have to stay clear of Oracle because Oracle will be there on starboard tack. But Alinghi will round and hoist and be off on this run without any effect from Oracle behind. We're still seeing 16
the
knots.
left or right's favoured up this beat.
This is perfect for Bellway.
It's the run. We should take some of those ships, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here at the moment.
Pass through. Stay this side,
The other interesting thing to pick up on this conversation coming off of Alinghi, principally the voices of Brad Butterworth and Jochen Schumann we can hear is, although they have a big lead, assume nothing, accept nothing, and don't think that they've got a gimme, as we would say here in New Zealand, because of what happened to Oracle at the last mark.
Never take your eye off the ball on these races.
Mark 3, halfway through this race 2, and Alinghi around the top mark, getting ready for the hoist. And it's a jibe set.
Alinghi's trying to go really deep is what they're doing to cross in front of Oracle. Now, Oracle has to hold its course and sail what it would normally sail, but it does have the right of way.
Boy, I just down there running. Put a safe. Oh, you got a safety on it.
And Alinghi has gone with an asymmetric sail, a Jenniker.
Hey, one length attack.
Yep.
Now that was living dangerously. We'll give you a bit to take you through that and tell you why. But really, why would Alinghi want to do that then rather than later? So now they've got their asymmetrical spinnaker up. Here goes Oracle around the top mark, reminding you Oracle trail by 19 seconds at Mark 2. Here at Mark 3, they round 52 seconds. And 45 of those seconds would be accounted with the flight they had when they were crawling or stripping, as they say in the United States, and breaking the spinnaker pole.
Well, I think Russell may have just decided in a split-second decision there to take it down and go across the course of Oracle. They know on board Alinghi that Oracle sails lower than they do downwind. So the last thing they wanted to do on Alinghi was to come around the mark and reach up, getting wide, basically, to go around Oracle going upwind, who was on starboard, and then end up in a position where Oracle might be able to throw some wind shadow on Alinghi. But I think it turned out it was closer than anyone expected. Probably not exactly what they imagined when they looked at the maneuver in their brains ahead of time.
Just coming into the new pressure again.
And Phipps now going out to do some housework right on the end of the spinnaker boom on board Alinghi.
Well, Alinghi in the leading position, just we're starting to feel a bit nervous with Oracle, who had soaked down to lure to Alinghi. So Coots, Butterworth, wanting to keep it tight, Alinghi to jive to come back. What's noticeable is how deep Oracle are able to sail on the downwind leg. Some of that is brought about by whatever configuration they're in, with added sail area possibly, but also the surging swells that are out in the Gulf today with this northerly now or northeasterly wind direction that we've had for much of the week has meant that there is this added dimension of quite good surfing or surging conditions for the boats, and Alinghi does, Oracle does look fast on the downwind legs.
And Alinghi doing a good job of holding this crew at arm's length at the moment.
We run wheat knife, please.
What do you need?
Chris Dixon asking the crew to run the wheat knife. So as we discussed yesterday, what he's asking the crew to do is to pull a thin string in the cockpit, which will pull a very sharp knife down the leading edge of the keel and the rudder to cut away any weed that may be wrapped around the foils.
There we see the sleeve on the broken spinnaker pole. Gosh, I bet those back at the Oracle base watching this will be just have their heads in their hands a little bit, well, more than a little bit, because this crew were in with a magnificent chance. You can see Mike Sanderson to the right and Robbie Naismith, Chris Dixon, and no matter the brave face they put on at the moment, they must just be kicking themselves that such a mistake could and probably has ruined their chances of making it one. I think he's doing it pretty much perfectly at the moment. 4 minutes away from the mark.
Hold the line there.
Wind at 11 knots now from 95 degrees, so the breeze is dropping to carry this symmetrical spinning.
Cameron, please. Got it, boys. Matt, head.
Well, Peter, we saw Oracle make a nice little gain early, but it certainly has slowed down lately. Wind direction is shifted back to the right, which it seems to do down here at the bottom of the course, down back into the mid-90s from the mid-80s. And looking up the course, it looks windier up at the top of the course. So perhaps it's just a geographic thing that's making the wind a little lighter here at the bottom end. We hear the race committee changing the course back to 080. That's a 5-degree change back from what they had at 85. Not much of a wind shift back and forth. It's been fairly steady today, although there have been enough shifts to make a difference. Now watch as they drop on Alinghi. You'll see the pole go forward first, then the halyard will come down. That's the standard deal, the standard move. So something unusual happened on Oracle last time. A little problem hoisting the jib. All right, they got that sorted out. Well, Oracle certainly closer than they were at the top mark, but not in position to strike yet. There goes the pole forward. Now the halyard comes down. The only safe way to do it so you don't lose the kite over the bow. That doesn't mean you won't still lose the sail on the water on the side of the boat, but by the time you reach this final round, those maneuvers should be pretty standard.
Mark 4, race 2. Alinghi still in front. Alinghi leading by 52 seconds as Mark 3. Now comes the spinnaker on Oracle.
Coming on.
All the maneuvers much more studied and definite aboard Oracle this time. Now remember they trail by 52 seconds. So Oracle has made a gain as they click off at 31 seconds. So from 52 to 31.
Here goes Oracle throw an attack in. Alinghi following immediately. Will stay in touch in this kind of a distance ahead. They will stay on similar tacks as they sail up the leg, not letting Oracle escape out to any kind of leverage that might be a risk for Alinghi. Only 150 meters between the boats.
Go mix it up.
Gonna mix it up. So Oracle will expect them to... Here we are.
Here they come. Now remember, 6 boat lengths is the difference between them at the moment.
Now, watch how quickly Oracle accelerates from the tank and how quickly does Alinghi get out. And whether or not Chris Dixon is prepared to start throwing multiple tanks or 1 or 2 at a time. So Alinghi still holding on to port.
Seen it on the last beat, all right?
Hold that. Yeah, the boat's lead. Okay.
9 and 9.
Waves again. Waves again.
Still holding on to port. Is not decided not to attack yet.
Now did Brad just say we'll take it easy on the last beat? Is that what I just heard him say?
Oh, we just have to pick a nice shift here. Let's see what he would go. That is a header.
Let's take it to the split spot now.
Attacking, guys.
All right, so Alinghi's going to attack now.
Getting a shift. That's a good way to do it. Stretch it out until it's obvious.
31 seconds was the advantage around the 4th mark to this crew on the Swiss syndicate, Alinghi, as they continue their lead against over Oracle on race number 2 of the Louis Vuitton Cup finals. That's a few attacks going in on this final beat, and the advantage before the attacks began with 155 metres to Alinghi.
Slowly we'll average again.
Well, they have tried a little bit of attacking Bill and Oracle wanting to mix it up a little bit, but it's not very, it's pretty passive. And we're not seeing the gains that we saw on that first windward leg when the attacking duel was pretty aggressive, but it does appear as though Alinghi looks comfortable going tack for tack with Oracle.
It looks a lot like Alinghi is not prepared to play Oracle's game. They're not going to have the terms dictated to them by Dixon and friends. And each time we hear Butterworth and Yacht and Schumann in the back of the boat, just being patient, making sure the boat's at full speed, looking for the shifts. We often hear off Alinghi that say, we've got a nice flat spot here, we'll tack here. And what they're looking for is in these choppy conditions, if they tack the boat at the wrong time when the bow's about to hit a wave, it can really shake a lot of boat speed off the boat.
Alinghi coming back under starboard as both boats have been sparing off. There's been quite a lot of separation here. The wind now at 16 knots, still from 85. It's been building. Alinghi in the windward position. These incredibly strong lenses here on our camera boat do tend to make things closer than they are, because we're actually talking over 600-meter separation.
10 on port, 9 on starboard.
See from Alinghi going through the water, it's getting kind of bumpy out here still. These old swells from yesterday, and now a little bit more wind.
Just looking at the run, Russell, I
think
same plan, really, you know.
Guys are actually
So Alinghi are out on the port ley line. Meanwhile, Oracle very close to the starboard ley line, and we already know they're going to tack set.
Slowly coming up.
With an advantage of 190 metres.
Hold this runner. Pull it on.
So remember that Oracle will have to tack again. Alinghi's on the runway for the last time.
Yeah, so did I.
So really, it'll be a couple of 100-metre difference. Once they round the top mark. Louis Vuitton Cup final race 2, lap 5 going into the last leg. Alinghi with the hoist. Nice set. Nice close to Gospelski, I must swear. Here, front.
He does make a racket.
Half a length attack.
Half a length to tack. So reminding you at Mark 4, Alinghi led by 31 seconds. Already it is a gain to Alinghi. They send, they apply. 48 seconds, so a gain for Alinghi. And from 31 seconds to 48 seconds going into the last leg of the race.
Fortunately for Oracle, most of that loss came right at the end of the leg. They seem to be keeping it just about exactly at 6 boat lengths apart until that last 2 tacks where Alinghi made a nice little gain and positioned themselves around the mark a little smoothly, more smoothly than Oracle did, and 3 or 4 lengths was the value to them.
A little lighter here, another bit of breeze building above us, okay? It's just light here for the moment. No, we're slightly deeper than him at the moment.
Well, that's a critical piece of information because so far, every time we've seen the boats go downwind, Oracle has been able to sail lower. So that tells Kutsin, who obviously was the one who asked Butterworth about it, that they're in a little bit better pressure and doing better at the moment on Alinghi. But Oracle now, as you just heard the pep talk from Peter Helmer, he just said, look, it's only 200 meters, guys. Come on, a little shift here and there. We can do this.
Here we go.
So here is Oracle attacking. They haven't given up. They might trail by 48 seconds or round figures 200 meters going into this last leg of the race. But Oracle has still got blood pumping through the heart. And they're doing whatever they can to get back into this race.
That's the distance they've got to sail, so a good distance to go yet. The lead, 10 boat lengths. Alinghi ahead of Oracle, so perhaps half a boat length, 1 boat length gain to Oracle. Just looking here at Oracle, excuse me, at Alinghi, just searching down these northeasterly swells. Looking very comfortable.
He's going to come, you know, at least 4 forward to be close to it.
Yeah, Alinghi tender there in the foreground.
Yeah, we don't need to jibe.
And I'm sure the Swiss team on board Alinghi waving to the cameras. They know they've got this one in the bag.
The interesting point, there are 16 people on Alinghi. And
hello. Well, what happened was that they went to jibe, the spinnaker pole came off, and the sheet, which is loose on the right-hand side of the picture there, went over the bow. And the water pressure of that sucked it underneath the boat. So they've had a little mini disaster of their own here. But because they didn't absolutely have to turn at that moment, they have a chance to fix it. They brought a new sheet up. They're going to let the old sheet go and get it out of there. They'll lose a little distance, but again, they have enough of a lead. It's not going to be a critical.
We're on lay line here. We need
this is Murray Jones. This is Murray Jones.
We're on lay line.
The rest of the crew can't hear that. Their voices can be heard around the world. The 1,400 sailors on Alinghi cannot hear the conversation that we've been part of.
It is, in fact, a very quiet conversation that they're having, and it's because they have radio microphones in their ears, you know, talking directly to each other only. Now you see right there at the front of the picture, there's a little piece of cloth coming off the edge of the spinnaker, and that's holding the spinnaker sheet, the lazy one, the soft, the one that's going around the windward side of the boat. It's just above the tip of the pole right there. That little piece of webbing that's sewn into the sail is purely there to hold that sheet, to keep it from falling off and going around the front of the boat.
The boats are very even. Yeah.
So Brad Butterworth trying to tell us the boats are very even. The Rocky Horror Show has been a very popular show here in Auckland at Sky City. Today it was the whole Rocky Horror Show for Oracle, as they lost their asymmetrical spinnaker when trawling, and they've broken this spinnaker pole, and that allows Alinghi to go 2-0 up in the final of the Louis Vuitton Cup.
Okay.
Good work, guys. Yeah.
So So Murray Jones reassuring the rest of the team. Good work, guys. Ernesto Vitarelli out to the right, patting Russell Dukes on the back.
Easy jump again, huh?
Yes.
When you're at that distance, and it's no problem at all, huh?
That's the voice of Yacht and Schumann on board, Alinghi.
I got it, Casey.
40 seconds is the margin of Alinghi beating Oracle in race number 2, and Oracle will certainly reflect on what might have been. They just got so close, and they certainly have shown very good speed off the wind. We still haven't seen the best of this crew in this boat. They just have to give themselves a chance.